Hello, and thank you for joining me on another one of my tech series videos. For those of you who don't know me, I always had a lot of passion for technology, and here I'm going to share some of that with you. If you find this video entertaining and informative, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And now, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode about my immersion into tech as the time-lapse traveler.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another scooter review. Now, in the past you've seen me review a few different scooter models already, except this time it's personal. This time I'm reviewing my very own Xiaomi m365, which I have owned for about a year and a half now, since I've moved to the Philippines in February of last year. I purchased this scooter in early March, so I've been riding it around the streets of Manila ever since. As you can see, it's been a little bit beaten up by now. There are some scrapes, some scratches, because I've been taking it all around. You see there's a sticker missing that's protecting the screws. One of these gaskets protecting the screw is also missing. And overall, yeah, there have been some scrapes that I've gotten on the scooter ever since, I've been riding it through the mean city streets of Manila. But it's no worse for wear. It's performed really great. Now, right away, one of the biggest differences between this scooter and the others that I've reviewed is that, as you can see, this one is not nearly as beefy and bulky looking as the other ones. It's not nearly as powerful or as fast, but the upside is that you can pretty easily lift it up with one hand, which comes in very handy anytime that you want to jump on a curb or maneuver it in more tight corners on spots, because it's also not very wide. Now, definitely wide enough to be able to stand like this, so there are no issues there. Very easy to balance on, but also you can squeeze through tighter corners, like when you're going between cars or when you're going next to the sidewalk or curb. Really easy to get around on this thing. Plus, if you need to hop on and off and then just, jump on top of a curb, you could just lift it up and boom, you're good to go. Another benefit of this scooter is that because it's made by Xiaomi and it's a very popular model, there are a lot of accessories that are made for it. Like this solid tire, for example. There are a lot of options that you can purchase of replacement tires. And the reason why I got this is because originally the scooter comes with inflatable tires, which is actually not bad for a budget model like this. I mean, it does cost only under 20,000 pesos right now. Scooters in this price range, lightweight scooters like this, very often they come with solid tires only. The good thing about those is that you can never get a puncture, but of course an inflatable tire is going to give you better suspension. Since there's no suspension system here, as you can see, there are no springs or anything like that, like what the other scooters had that I reviewed. This one does get a little more bumpy, but because the original inflatable tires give you some shock absorbency, it's really not all that bad. There are some people that reviewed the scooter before, they say that it gets very bumpy and very hard on your knees, but you know what? My knees are really not all that great, and I've been riding this around a lot, but I really don't have much to complain about. To be fair, it's really not as smooth as the way more expensive bulk carrier scooters that I've reviewed, but it's really not all that bad. And as you can see, this particular tire that I got cost about 500 pesos. It has holes all around the circumference, so it actually absorbs a lot of the bumps as well. So believe it or not, it's almost as shock absorbent as the original inflatable tire. But the upside is that it'll also never get flat. I've had a few flats rolling around the streets already, so I eventually decided to get these solid tires. Now actually I replaced the rear very recently only, but so far I decided to use one of the spares, because this scooter comes with two spare tires that you could use to replace in case you get a flat, which is a really nice bonus. So the power and performance of the scooter is as follows. It has a 250 watt motor in the front only. Obviously, you're not going to get a rear motor for something so lightweight, because this thing weighs only 12.5 kilograms. That's what makes it so lightweight. The 250 watt motor can get you only as fast as 25 kilometers an hour, which, you know what, for my personal needs is really not bad, because you can still typically go faster than you would on a bicycle, and you can get a sustained speed like this going for a long distance. Unless you really need to travel long hauls every single day, this one can really get you around as far as you reasonably need to go. Because as for me personally, I've been using it only for local errands, and when I used to work in Makati, I took it to work back and forth, not even a kilometer away. I was pretty lucky with that one. The range of this scooter, at least on the paper, is 25 kilometers. Now, me personally, my maximum distance that I've been able to ride this thing was actually exactly 27 kilometers on power save mode. Now, that one goes kind of slow. I don't really ride it like that anymore. The power save mode will only take you about 17 kilometers an hour, which, yeah, it's you kind of feel like an old man when you're on that thing. But 25 kilometers an hour gives you a pretty nice pickup and a pretty decent speed overall. You can get realistically about good 15 kilometers. So Let's say if you have to go maybe 6-7 kilometers each direction to go to work and back, which is pretty reasonable range, I would say, for something so small and light. You can go the distance every single day and then charge it up overnight. It takes about a 5-hour cycle to charge the whole thing because the battery here is not all that massive, only this big. Hopefully the subtitle will give you the correct information. The battery doesn't take as long to charge as some of the other scooters that I've been dealing with. The power brick there is a very decent size, very portable. If you ever need to go to work, let's say, and the range is not going to take you round trip without having to charge it, hopefully you'll be able to just plug it in at work while you do your thing, and then on the way back you're at full charge again. Now, going back to how popular the scooter is and how easy it is to get replacement parts, you can also customize it a lot without besides just simply the solid tires. You can also get a suspension, so you can actually replace this whole stem over here and replace this thing with a suspension bridge, which of course will add significant cost. It costs about 5,000 pesos or so, which is about $100, and will also add significant bulk and weight to the scooter. But on the plus side is that you're going to get a smoother ride because the suspension spring is going to take a lot of the shock away from your back and your knees. You could also even get a seat. I've seen people install a seat right over here that kind of stem, and you could just, you know, roll around kind of like this, sitting down, and it looks really comfortable. But as for me, as long as I'm young and healthy enough to ride around on this thing standing up, I just prefer to do that. But I definitely see myself sometime in the future possibly investing in getting a seat. I don't plan to do that anytime soon, but it is something that's an option. Then of course you could change the lights. You could put a light over here. One thing that I recommend is to put a zip tie to hold these wires over here for the brake and the wire that's going to the light, because if you don't put a zip tie, then these wires are kind of sticking out a little bit. I think it's an unnecessary design flaw. It's a very minor thing, very easily remedied. Another thing that's keeping this thing from true awesomeness is that the handlebar over here, as you can see, it wobbles a little bit. Now this is something that apparently is kind of unavoidable. The people that I've spoken to about this scooter, they all say that it's kind of a known issue. I've read around on the forums that no matter how tight you screw these in, eventually this is going to start wobbling again. So that is just kind of unavoidable. It's not really a big deal though, because it's not like there's any real fear of the handlebars just coming off. So as long as the handlebars are going to stay on the scooter, that's really what matters, and there's really no fear about this thing coming off. The brake here is really great because a lot of scooters in this price range, they don't have a disc brake like that. This brake actually works really well, something that I'm very happy about. The stopping power of the scooter is actually really good because using the app, you can control how the tire gives you pneumatic braking itself. So there are 3 modes on the braking power, and you can actually use the motor itself to slow you down, which works reasonably well. So the handlebars, as you can see, I've been really putting this thing to use. They've been really getting worn off. This is not by any means a new scooter, but I love this thing. I've been using it for a while, and I definitely intend to keep riding it for a while longer. So today I'm actually getting help from my friend Ezekiel. You should check out his Instagram. What's your Instagram page?
ezekylellorca.
Yeah, I'll mention that in the comment section, so definitely check him out. He's a really cool dude. The one who helped me with the previous scooter review video that I made, so yeah, check out this guy. All right, so let's see how this thing actually performs on the road, okay? So this is what I was talking about. So you can get a monorim upgrade for the M365. See how popular this scooter is? There are people just riding around in the street in exactly the same model, but this one has been souped up a little bit with an extra light and really cool suspension.
One of the things I use my scooter for is to go grocery shopping. As you can see, I hang my backpack on the handlebars facing the front. I can actually have a much larger backpack, which you may have seen me wear in one of my other videos. I can then fill it up with as much weight as I could possibly strain myself to carry on my back, but letting the scooter take the burden for me. Surprisingly, this doesn't really alter the handling of the scooter, and having 20 or so pounds is almost completely seamless. But you do need some extra care if you plan to load up more than that, while still being very manageable. You would think that for such a lightweight scooter, having a lot of extra weight in the front would be problematic, but it seems that no matter the condition, you're always in control. If you're traveling light, however, you'll be able to feel just what an advantage it is to be riding a scooter that is just over 27 pounds. Because here, you're really the one in control, and not the other way around. This means that this scooter is more maneuverable than any of the heavier scooters out there, which can sometimes feel like trying to control a tank that has the power to tear out from under you. One thing I wanted to mention though is that the hinge that lets you fold the scooter for compact storage is a little tough to manage and can be kind of tight to open with one hand. I always just keep it standing upright on my balcony, and I rarely have the need to fold it down. But if you're someone who needs to open and close it every day, it's certainly something to consider, while not being a deal breaker. Another thing that doesn't have the best design is the charge port protective flap. It's surely easy to open, but you'll often find yourself having to fidget around with it when closing it back up. Again, this is not a deal breaker, but it could have been designed better. Along with the slightly jiggly handlebars, these are my biggest complaints about the scooter model, which reminds me that this is the first generation product from Xiaomi. Fortunately, these elements have been improved in newer versions of the scooter from Xiaomi, along with some other minor tweaks, such as a slightly bigger disc brake for even better stopping power, a wider foot panel, and a beefier battery for faster acceleration and longer range. That last one shouldn't be seen as an automatic improvement, however, since although of course it's great to have a faster pickup and longer driving range, that also adds to the cost and the weight of the scooter. So in a way, I would argue that the original M365 can still be seen as the better value. Overall, I am very pleased with this scooter, as it has served me really well in all the short to medium trips that I have taken on it, in dry as well as wet conditions during a heavy downpour. I definitely give it my official seal of approval and wholeheartedly recommend it to anyone looking to purchase a light and relatively inexpensive electric scooter that is great for getting around between city traffic. So, I hope that you found this review video entertaining and informative, and if you have, please do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and also hit the bell notification icon so that you'll always keep getting more videos coming at you from the Time-Lapse Traveler.